Morning, children.
Good morning, sir.
Dear children, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom lesson has been prescribed as part of Unit 2 of your English reader. Now, let's have a brief summary of the lesson. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Dear children, have you ever heard the name Nelson Mandela?
No, sir.
Now, before learning about him, let's go through the Indian freedom struggle and the great patriots who sacrificed their lives for Indian freedom movement. Great patriots such as Bhagat Singh, Lala Lajpati Rai, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Allur Sita Ramaraju and many more freedom fighters sacrificed their lives for Indian independence. And finally, 200 years of British ruling ended on 15th August 1947. As great freedom fighters fought for Indian freedom movement, Nelson Mandela fought for South Africa's independence. British ruled 300 long years for South Africa. Finally, the British rule in the South Africa ended on May 10, 1994 because on that particular day, the oath-taking ceremony of Nelson Mandela was going on. The ceremony was going on at amphitheater of Pretoria. Here, take a look at Nelson Mandela. He was addressing to the gathering. The event was graced by many presidents and VIPs of various nations. Here, Nelson Mandela was addressing to all of them. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today the oath-taking ceremony of the first black president of South Africa is going on. Until now, a bad practice, apartheid, was going on in our country. Do you know what's meant by apartheid? The discrimination between the people by their race and color. So, that practice went on for centuries in South Africa until Nelson Mandela took oath on 10th May 1994. On that auspicious day, two national anthems were sung. One anthem was dedicated to the blacks while the other was dedicated to the whites. Here, Nelson Mandela says in his autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom, every man has two obligations. One is for obligation for his family. His family includes parents, wife, children, etc. And the second obligation is for society. His society, his people, and his community. Every country, a man can fulfill both the obligations. However, in South Africa, both the obligations can't be fulfilled. If a man confines to his family, he cannot fight for his society, his people, his community. If a man turns rebellious against the government and fight for the rights of his people, he should give up his family. That's the unfortunate thing faced by South African people. For the past hundreds of years, the blacks have been turned as slaves for the oppressors. Here in South Africa, we had oppressors and oppressed. Oppressors ruled our country. Oppressors snatched the freedom of oppressed. What happened? You might have snatched our freedom. We might have been your slaves. But, Mr. Oppressor, you must remember one fact. As you snatched our freedom, you are also not free. You are also a slave. You are a slave because you are imprisoned in narrow domestic walls of your hearts. Then, how can you be free? So, you are also like as the case of oppressed. Hereafter, South Africans are liberal. All the people will enjoy the fruits of freedom. That's all about the message conveyed by Nelson Mandela in his autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom. Gautami, what is the name of autobiography of Nelson Mandela?
A Long Walk to Freedom.
That's right, A Long Walk to Freedom. Give me a round of applause. And next question goes to Yemima. What is the name of discrimination between people by their race and color?
Apartheid.
Apartheid. Yes, you are right. Okay. Geeta Sri, your question is here. How many obligations were mentioned by Nelson Mandela in the passage?
2 obligations, sir.
That's right answer. Give me a round of applause. Manikanta, what are those 2 obligations?
One family, one society.
Yes, One obligation is for yes, one obligation is for family and the another obligation is for society. Good, go. And dear children, last but not the least, let's play the speech of Nelson Mandela on the inauguration day.
After reconciliation, for nation's sake, for the birth of a new world. Let's have the justice for all.